Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back again. This is Jaimini Astrology channel. This is the second episode related to our Chara Dasha, and here we're going to focus especially on how to calculate our Chara Dasha periods. Obviously, it applies to calculating the length of our major periods, which is obviously Dasha. Yeah, how to do that? I'll explain step by step. Yeah, rules are very simple. Okay, generally, how we do that? We count from the Rashi up to its Lord in direct or indirect way, mean clockwise or anti-clockwise. For a wee while, I'll show you how to do it, okay? But here I need to mention one thing before we proceed, okay? So, in Chara Dasha, the full span, yeah, the full length, the longest time the Mahadasha can last is of 12 years. Yeah, and that's the difference between the Chara Dasha and traditional Vimshotari Dasha. Yeah, in Vimshotari Dasha, you've got planetary periods. Yeah, and they might last up to, let's say, like Mahadasha of Shukra last 20 years, Mahadasha, let's say, of Guru Jupiter lasts 16 years. Here in Chara Dasha, the longest period the Dasha, the particular Mahadasha, can last is of 12 years. Okay? And we assign the 12 years for a particular Dasha only in one case. What is that case? It happens only when we find the ruler, owner of the sign remaining in its own Rashi or sign. So here on that screen, in that chart, you see that here we've got Shurya, yeah, which is the sun, yeah, here remaining in its own Rashi of Simcha or Leo. Yeah, you see that the owner of the sign, yeah, remains in its own sign, and only then, in such scenario, yeah, we give the 12 full years as the Mahadasha length in Chara Dasha. Only in such scenario, when you find the ruler of the sign remaining in its own sign. It can be any graha, obviously, apart from Mangala, apart from Shani, okay, Rahu Ketu. I'll explain it in the third episode, because there are special rules for computing Chara Dasha periods, okay, for two signs of Rishika and Kumbha, but I'll explain it in the third episode, yeah. But as general, yeah, if you find such grahas as, let's say, Shurya, Chandra, yeah, Buddha, Shukra, yeah, Guru, yeah, remaining in their own Rashis, respectively, let's say, yeah, can be any of these grahas, yeah, let's say you have found Chandra in its own Rashi while calculating the Mahadasha length, yeah, then you will give the 12 full years as the Mahadasha length, only when you find the ruler of the sign remaining in its own Rashi, and only then, okay? Okay, let's come to explain how to calculate, the Mahadasha length in our Chara Dasha. As I say, we do it simply by counting from the Rashi up to its Lord in a direct or indirect manner. So that's why we need to divide our Rashis again into two separate groups consisting of 6 Rashis each. the first group which we are going to focus on is the group which we call as Savia. Here it is marked as SA, and this is direct group. Okay, so you can see we've got such rashis as Mesha, Rishabha, Mithuna, Tula, Rishika, and Danu, belonging to that direct Savia group. What do we do here as general rule? Yeah, we count from the Rashi concerned up to its lord in a direct way, in a clockwise fashion, and then we deduct one. Okay, I'll show you how to do it a bit later on. Okay, so we count from the Rashi up to its lord in a direct clockwise manner, and then we deduct one. Okay, then we'll come to the second group, which we describe as Apsavia, and we've got such Rashis as Makara, Kumbha, Mina, Karka, Simha, and Kanya, belonging to that second indirect group which we call as Apsavia. Then what we do? We count from the Rashi up to its lord, but in a indirect way, anti-clockwise. Yeah, I'll show you how to do it right now. Okay? Okay, so let's say, okay, starting from the sign of Rishika, I would say. Okay? No, let's see. Rishika, sorry, that's a mistake. Rishabha, okay? Starting from the sign of Rishabha, okay? You see that Rishabha belongs to our first group, direct group, called as Savia. What we do? We count from the Rashi up to its lord in a direct way, yeah, in a clockwise fashion, and then we deduct one, and then we will receive our Mahadasha years. Okay, so let's count from Rishabha, yeah, in a direct clockwise manner. Rishabha 1, then Mithuna 2, then Karka 3, then Simha 4, and Kanya 5. We found our Shukra, yeah, in Kanya. We've got 5, we deduct 1, and we've got 4 years as the length of our Rishabha Mahadasha remaining. Okay, so let's go to the second example. Okay, I'll just change the color. Let's say we're going to count the years, yeah, for the Mahadasha of Mithuna, okay, which is here. So what we do? We count from the Rashi concerned up to its lord or ruler, sorry, in a direct way, meaning clockwise. Why? Because Mithuna Rashi belongs to that Savia group. Okay, so let us count, yeah, from the Rashi up to its lord in a direct way. Mithuna 1, then Karka 2, then Simha 3, Kanya 4, Tula 5, Rishika 6, yeah, Danu 7, Makara 8, Kumbha 9, then Mina 10. We have found our Buddha, the ruler of Mithuna, here. Then we deduct 1, and we've got remaining 9 years as the length of Mahadasha of Mithuna. And that's how we do that. Then we'll jump to another examples. Okay, have a look. Let's say we want to find what is the length of Mahadasha period, yeah, for the sign of Karka, okay, which is here. You see that Karka belongs to that second indirect Apsavya group. So what we do, we count from the Rashi, yeah, up to its Lord, but in a indirect anti-clockwise way. Okay, so we count from Karka 1, Mituna 2, then Rishabha 3, then Mesha 4, Mina 5, Kumbha 6, Makara 7, Danu 8. We have found our Chandra, the ruler, in the sign of Danu. We've got 8. We have to deduct 1, and we've got 7 years remaining as the length of Mahadasha of Karka. Okay? Okay. And then we'll go to another example. Okay? Let's say we want to calculate the Mahadasha years for the Mahadasha of Mina, which is here. What can we see? Mina belongs again to that second indirect Apsavya group. So what we're going to do? Simple. We're going to count from Rashi up to its Lord, but in an indirect, anti-clockwise manner, because Mina belongs to that Apsavya indirect group. So count Mina 1, Kumbha 2. We have found our guru in Kumbha. We've got 2. We have to deduct 1 year, and then we've got 1 year remaining as the length of Mina, Mahadasha. Okay? I hope it is not too difficult, quite simple. All you need to do is to practice, okay? And as I said, there are special rules for computing Chara Dasha periods for the signs of Rishika and Kumbha, and I'm going to cover that. I'm going to give you all that special rules which apply to those two signs in the third episode. Okay, so I'm going to see you soon. All the best. Take care. Good luck.